Well, good evening, everybody. Mikey Kung Pao back here. As promised, we're going to discuss the arrogant, self-important, bloviating 12-page memorandum to the judge that Jodi Arias wrote in order to try to fire her attorney, Kurt Nurmi. Of course, the judge, in her infinite wisdom, said, I think the trial were over and you were already convicted. And I also think the state of Arizona don't want to spend another $1 million trying to get another attorney up to speed just to satisfy your little whims because Kurt Nurmi is not, satisfying every emotion or need you might have. But anyway, let's get on and see what this is all about, this 12-page speed here, okay? First of all, here's how she began. I am writing this letter to request a change of counsel for my first chair attorney, Kurt Nurmi. First chair attorney? I'd say maybe he more like a 2 or 3 chair attorney myself, but that's just me. Okay. So I have not spoken to him since May of 2013. Lucky him, I say. Okay. We have had no communication at all, even indirectly, and I have a trial coming up. Yes, she's got her penalty phase coming up. Now this is an important point because this theme is woven all through here about how Kurt Nurmi not communicating with her, making no effort, and this is why he should be fired. Okay, so I want you to remember that thought. But first of all, let's see what Kurt Nurmi has to say. Do he want to desperately hang on to this case or not? Let's take a look.
About intimidation or threats
it should address
as set forth in the defendant's motion.
Hey, I can kind of understand where Jodi's, not so thrilled with Nurmi's overall attentiveness at trial,
This court can only speculate as to why Ms. Womack is not here today.
We don't need to speculate. It's because she committed a bunch of crime, didn't want to testify in court, didn't want to back Jodi up. In fact, no one backed her up. Not a single person would stand up for her.
Similarly, this court can only speculate as to the absence of other possible witnesses for purposes of the sentencing phase.
Contemporaneously speculate.
Without more information, this court finds there is no basis to grant a mistrial, so the motion for mistrial is denied.
Denied again for the 87th time. Now we're going to hear that Nurmi, an attorney like a million other times, and since the trial, wanted to withdraw from this case. In complete contradiction to Jodi claims,
Mr. Nurmi.
Ms. Wilmot and I would move to withdraw from the case yet again.
Yes, we'd move to withdraw from it yet again, but you're not going to let us, because in your wisdom, you don't want the state to spend another $1 trillion having a new attorney go through thousands of hours to get up to speed. So there I think you see that the fearing is definitely mutual. Okay, but again, the judge have good reason to deny the request. Now hear what she's going to say. Kurt Nurmi's duty is to maintain a close contact with the client. I wonder if I could say that 78 times fast. Close contact with the client. He not doing it, and now she feels like used toilet paper. Okay, that way he treating her. All right, so I already told you the other time what she said in the next paragraph. I'm going to skip 98% of this crap, but I'm just giving you the highlights. Okay, he refused to tell anyone why he decided to have his office secretary hang up on me rather than take a message, and instead said other team members should talk to me and praise secretary on his behalf. I guess you were expecting Kurt Nurmi to play her secretary on her behalf 24 hours a day. But anyway, there is no other reason than spite. No reason than spite, I say, that he implemented this rude and absurd policy, designed to block my attempt at communicating with him. I would like you to remember that, Ryan. He were blocking the attempt to communicate with him. Remember that, Ryan. Keep that in the forefront of your conscience, okay? And additionally, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we can summarize that way. The beginning of the end was when he began adopting a razy attitude. Kurt Nurmi, razy? I don't know about him. toward investigating my case. Okay, we'll give her 1 point on that. All right, so the raise the attitude part. Instead of tracking down reads that I were giving him, like the ninjas and things, of course, he squandered county resources chasing out-of-state pen pal for reasons said pen pal and I both remain unclear of to this very day. Unbelievable to me. For this expensive and unnecessary trip, he even brought along the co-chair, Jennifer Wilmot, my BFF. Okay, she didn't say BFF. And investigator Bud Barton, anyway, one of the investigators, and instructed the team member, the mitigation specialist, Maria de la Rosa, he instructed to write to me about this trip. Somebody lied to Jodi? This is shocking, because she's always been honest with everyone. This is very unfair. Okay. So, what else? In an unguarded moment in 2012, I was expressing myself and said, I deserve an attorney who will fight for me. Jodi, other than your internet trolls, ain't no one willing to fight for you. Okay, Kurt Nurmi gave you the best defense you could ever get. Anyway, any chance at rebuilding trust has been compromised, giving that I know he don't like me, and he expressed that very thing to a jury. Someone don't like Jodi? Let's see what he expressed to the jury she was so upset about. Actually, I think he's kind of handsome, don't you? No, I'm talking about this guy, court reporter back here, okay? I'm talking about this guy, not this guy. Okay, all right, let's go.
I think it's important to talk about what this case is not about. It's not about Snow White.
Hey, did you mention that to Alice Violette before you put her on the stand? Because I think she missed that part. Okay. Let's go up here and get rid of this ad and then proceed.
You like Jodi Arias. 9 days out of 10, I don't like Jodi Arias.
Really? Well, I think you're giving her a good break, because 10 days out of 10, I don't like Jodi Arias, okay? Look at that grin on her face. See that? She don't seem too upset by it right there. Even Wilmot got a slight smile on her face. She's thinking, you know what, I don't really like her that much either, even though I pretend to be her BFF. And the investigator about it, she's smiling too. Can you see it? Wait, let pan over there, you can see her. Yeah, she's smiling too, so, Can anyone besides me explain to Jodi that no one like her except psycho internet trolls? All right, anyway. Such things as these has compounded over the last 2.5 years and steadily chipped away at the trust I once had in him. Kind of like the trust I once had in Travis. Ultimately destroying my trust completely. Almost as bad as I destroyed Travis Alexander in my jet. Okay, I didn't say that either. Once in a while I gotta slip in an editorial thought. Okay, so blah, 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 contemporaneous, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Kurt Nurmi has little or no tolerance for my emotional and psychological shortcomings. You think she have any of those? Hey, Jodi, none of the rest of us have any tolerance for that either. I think only Alice Violette does. Okay, so Mr. Nurmi, something about discussing travel plans and pedophile desires and blah, 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 all the made-up stuff she said about Travis. Mr. Nurmi, however, in his utter poverty of people skills, she really fancies herself an Einsteinian wordsmith, don't she? Simply said to me with contempt, he didn't just say it to me, he said it to me with contempt, I tell you. Said to me with contempt, you're not going to get your way just because you throw a tantrum. You think Jodi ever got her way throwing a tantrum? Judge, this was no tantrum. Far from it. I got so angry, it was almost like I would fry into a I was so angry, it was as if I was frying into a jealous rage and wanting to stab somebody, but okay. You better be careful, Jodi. Anyway, she says she had a complete meltdown, so she was so angry. Having known me for 3.5 years at this point, she just said 2.5 a minute ago, Kurt Nurmi should have easily discerned this, but his failure, blah, 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 blah. He doesn't even compliment me on my made-up copied artwork. All right, I put that part in too. All right, so what else you say? It's such a drag. I got to throw a comment in here and there, of what she probably is thinking, because otherwise we're all going to be bored to death. Let's see what else she says. Oh, this is the really, really bad part. This is probably deserving of a mistrial and start the whole thing all over again with new attorney. Listen to this, how horrible this is. In 2011, I released books from my sale property which were intended as gifts. The state immediately subpoenaed them, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And they get back to Kurt Nurmi after that. Kurt Nurmi, however, dropped the bar. He dropped that bar completely. He dropped the bar, okay? Knowing full well how important these books were to me and how much it meant to give them to my friend for which they were intended, okay? I wonder if there was secret codes in them books. Mr. Nurmi would offer no viable reason. By the way, Jodi, I know the reason. It's because every time poor Kurt Nurmi turn around, you're trying to smuggle out secret messages to somebody and blowing up your own case. Like that whole thing Juan Martinez put up about your secret Decoder magazine messages that you were sending out to Matt McCarthy and others in the magazines. And so Kurt Nurmi, no, he can't trust you. He can't let anything come out of the jail cell that's a printed material and have it go to somebody, because it's going to wreck your case, because you're always trying to manipulate everybody. Okay, that's the reason why, you dumb little twit. Okay, all right, so I get to calm down. And I told you I have a little diabetic thing going on. I'm trying to control it. One thing I find out, stress make it worse. Cause your blood sugar to spike. So we're going to be very calm now and talk calmly. Okay, Kurt's unwillingness to talk to me or explain his decision demonstrates we have a total lack of communication. Remember, she said that in the beginning, too. She said it all through this thing. I want you to keeping this in mind, because the important later, I'm going to quiz you on this one. Kurt Nurmi stopped treating me with respect long ago. Really, I'm having to have more and more respect for this Kurt Nurmi guy. I have my doubt about him, but, he began treating me like an interruption to his day. And I wish there was a coitus interruption before, she were born. But anyway, to this day, and then he was obligated, I was like something he were obligated to deal with. Do you see a pattern here? Jodi smothering people to death until they have to get away from her. And it's like an obligation they got to deal with, a constant, high maintenance, blizzard of demands and attention and everything. I sure see that pattern. Kurt Nurmi, do not listen or respond to my okay, she said different than that. He does not listen or respond to my concerns. If anything, he is deaf to them. What was that you said, Jodi? I am requesting an opportunity, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's get that part. Also, along the lines of Mr. Nurmi's failing at his duty to listen and respond, his poor memory. Which has been the source of great frustration on my part. Poor memory? Well, I think Jodi have a really, because she can remember everything. Wait, let's go look at a clip about Jodi and her memory. When it comes to Jodi narcissistic memory issues, remember every detail, everything she ever did in her life other than murdering Travis and planning it. I got to give a hot tip to Ms. Tabula Rasa, who have this video on YouTube, going to show you a minute or two of it.
And where did you go to high school?
I went to high school. After 8th grade, we moved to Northern California, to Yreka. And I went to Yreka Union High School.
And
at least when I was there, it's called Yreka Union High School.
let me ask you
In 6th grade, I went to an elementary school, and in 7th grade, I went to another new school it was called it was junior high school, but it's now middle school, I guess. But I think this was
Miss
after I moved to
Arias.
Santa Maria. I was enrolled in one art class, which was after school, and it lasted 3 weeks. I created a few pieces, a few projects, and I was held back in kindergarten, so even though we're 2 years apart, he was only 1 grade.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut!
The F up, okay. See, not everyone can have a memory like Jodi, right? So, the court say before when I tried to fire him, that would be difficult to replicate, have another attorney, da-da-da. But I must respectfully disagree with that assertion. That's almost like contemporaneous, you know, when she use a big word like that, assertion. I think she spelled it wrong. She did spell it wrong. Mr. Nurmi has forgotten more about my case than he remembers. Imagine. He also forgot to impeach 3 state witnesses at my trial. She's trying to re-litigate her trial here. I am not referring to the one who perjured himself, Esteban Flores. Oh, he perjured himself, Jodi? Oh, you mean the cop, all of whose testimony is backed up by videotape that we all got to see, and the jury didn't get to see all of it, but we all did. Every single word he say backed up by videotape. Is he the liar? Okay, we're just supposed to believe you, right? The videotape, that was all made up by somebody. Let's go check Esteban Flores for a second. Jodi said Detective Flores is a liar, and only she telling the truth. I say, who you gonna believe? Jodi or your lying ears?
Phone call, and by this officer I mean Detective Esteban Flores, that she knew the code to his garage, 0187. And so she knew the code to the garage, and she indicated that that's how she came in. She didn't knock on the front door, she didn't go out through the back and peep through the sliding glass doors like she'd done before. She actually walked in. There's no indication that Mr. Alexander came to the door. And this was sometime after 4 o'clock in the morning. And as she came in, one of the things that's telling about what happened is that she said, I came in and I stood by the door.
This is really creepy, you know. She stood there and watched him for a while. And she's the one who admit to that. And later she deny it, but she admit to it when she talking to Flores, and that's on tape.
I watched him. And I watched him for 30, 45 seconds. Who does that? Who comes in and stands?
You see that creepy little laugh she does? He goes, who does that? And Jodi think it funny. Check that again.
Who does that? Who comes in and stands there?
Are you still laughing, Jodi? All right, now she ironically start calling a lot of other people liars. Okay, very ironic, don't you think? She talking about, I don't know, this person, Deanna Reed, blah, blah, blah. First she said she was a virgin. No, she said she thought Travis were a virgin. Then under oath she testified that she and Travis had sexual relations. The shock. She had sexual relations with the guy that you stabbed 29 times because you were so jealous of him. That horrible. By the way, when she did that, was there any Tootsie Pop involved? Or maybe industrial size can of some kind of lubrication activity going on that you introduced Travis to? I'm just wondering. Okay, Mr. Nurmi failed to impeach her credibility for lying on the record. No, when she were on the record, she told the truth, Jodi. So get it straight in your head, okay? He refused to communicate with me as to the reason why he did not impeach. All right, Jodi. I think Nurmi always owes you a full legal explanation of everything and should cite case law to you, right? Now, nobody's memory is perfect, and lapses here or there are understandable. Gee, aren't you generous, Jodi? Lapses in memory understandable? Hey, let's take a look at another clip for a second. On a slightly more serious note about Jodi and her memory.
About what?
Well, what is it that we're talking about?
We're talking about a few different things right now.
Well, the last one that we were talking about. The Cancun issue, ma'am. You never told the detective about the Cancun issue, did you?
What Cancun issue?
Do you remember that we're talking about Travis Alexander? Let's start with that.
Yes, I remember that.
That's why we're here, because you killed him, right?
Yes.
You know, I'm gonna miss seeing Juan Martinez, aren't you? I'm gonna miss that a lot in the second phase of the trial. But we'll still catch up on whatever happened. Okay, so now she go on to say, but these lapses in memory appear to be suspiciously like memory lapses that are selective memory. Where have we heard about selective memory? Why does that ring a bell with the Jodi Arias trial? Okay, that last crypt tells us, I think, a little bit about that. All right, what else happened? Blah, 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 contemporaneous. With the exception of my haters, most people... Haters? Jodi have haters? Jodi, by the way, haters are 99.99% of anyone who watched your trial, okay? And normally they don't have hatred in their heart toward anyone, but you're the one exception, okay? So just want you to know. Wait, let's look at a hater for a second. And this Ryan Owen video, I'm so glad that Jodi insisted that she not be shown with her prison stripes in any way. And I'm so glad that he basically gave her the finger, show her that way anyway.
Didn't you apologize to them?
I did apologize to them.
You never said I'm sorry.
I said that I'm sorry, that I'll...
Ryan, don't you know that sociopathic hatred means never having to say you're sorry? Or at least I'll lie about it now.
never be able to make up for what I did, and that I can never replace their loss.
But you didn't use the word I'm sorry.
Well, then I'm sorry I didn't say that, because certainly I am sorry. I think in a sense,
I'm sorry that I didn't say I was sorry about saying I was sorry. All right, let's move on and see what else Ryan had to say.
No one believes a word out of your mouth. Why do you keep talking?
because I know.
This is such a good question, and to this day she's still talking. Then let's see what she said further on in this clip, right up here.
Jury, she wanted to start a recycling program in prison, a book club, Spanish lessons for other inmates.
This is the t-shirt.
She was kind enough to bring a sample of the t-shirts she designed to raise money for domestic violence victims. She wants to keep selling those. Oh, and she told the jury if she lives, she can keep donating her hair to cancer patients who need wigs.
In your final statement today, you talked about all sorts of things you might be able to do in prison. Teach other prisoners Spanish.
You know, 90% of the other inmates there already know Spanish better than her.
Donate more of your hair. Start a recycling program.
Because the world don't have enough hair, and I'm sure there's no recycling at the prison right now.
Do you know how trivial that sounded in the face of what you did?
Yes, do you know how trivial? Nope, she don't know, Ryan. Absolutely. But she gonna tell you there'd be less wigs if she not around.
Well, there isn't a whole lot that I know about prison. And these are only things that I'm able to ascertain from having never been there. So I believe that when I get there, I will find ways, better ways to contribute and pay back.
But can't you grow out your hair on death row and donate it?
Yeah, it'll be less wigs if I get executed.
Less wigs,
I know that sounds trivial.
Yes, it does. Okay.
The fear.
You really are still sticking with that story?
It's not a story, it's the reality. And it's unfortunate, but it is the reality.
Okay.
I didn't know that you were a hater when you came to interview me.
And if I did, I never would have let you interview me because I try to control everything. No one allowed to ask me real questions. Okay, Ryan? Ryan, I got to hand it to you, man. You're the only guy with huevos who ever talked to Jodi Arias and put it on the air. Well, now she's going to go on and complain again about how Kurt Nurmi's not mollycoddling her and holding her hand and doing whatever else she wants. Certainly the lack of a bond would be perceived by anyone who observed the defense table and saw Kurt and I seated there. Folks, let me ask you something. If you were on a bus, and Jodi Arias came and sat down, would you edge closer to her, or would you edge a little further away? Okay, so I think that's enough said on that point. All right, what else is she going to say? If there were any lingering doubt in anyone's mind there were no bond between attorney and client, Kurt Nurmi made sure it was vanquished by informing jurors that 9 days out of 10, I don't like Jodi Arias.
9 days out of 10, I don't like Jodi Arias. Actually she says his comment, okay, but in my accent I gotta say, he comment,
most likely made the jury rest inclined to empathize with the defendant. You know, Jodi, I don't think that's what it was. I think he was trying to get the jury to emphasize in a way that because you got on the stand for like 3 weeks, and by the time you were done, everyone hated you with a red-hot passion because of your phoniness. I think Kurt Nurmi was trying to get the jury to emphasize, to get off of that topic of hating your guts the way they all did by then, and instead try to get them to emphasize by saying, you know, you don't have to like her. Just look at the case I'm putting up here. See, he was actually doing in your benefit, trying to be an attorney. That were his thinking, obviously. But I guess you're too dense to figure that out, even though you're Einstein. Okay, so let's go on. Kurt, okay. Listen to this part. Remember all the way through here, Kurt Nurmi not trying to communicate with me. Kurt Nurmi won't communicate with me. I want to fire Kurt because he won't communicate with me anymore. Listen to this. Listen to the arrogant sociopath mindset of self-contradiction. Generate your own reality. Say one thing 1 second and the exact opposite the next second. In the very thing you're sending to the judge. How stupid is this woman? Listen to this. Kurt Nurmi has attempted to visit me in jail since the trial ended, and that was in June, and he also attempted to visit me at the courthouse last month. I did not accept either visit. You didn't accept either visit, and wouldn't do so because I don't trust his advice anymore. Blah, 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 blah. Do you remember what she said before? Kurt Nurmi has had no communication with me. He refuses to have any communication with me. He won't communicate with me in any way, not even through a third party. Now she admitting he trying to go talk to her. Probably made a lot of calls to her too. Probably sent other people too. He goes in person, to the courthouse, to the jail, wherever, and she refused to talk to him. And she blaming him. She blaming him. Unbelievable to me. He won't talk to me. He won't communicate. This woman, she really is a sociopathic, crazy. She can't remember even what she said 5 minutes ago. Generate her own reality. Okay, I'm getting carried away here, talking too much. I don't trust how he would conduct himself toward me, because I think he a pedo front. Oh, okay, she didn't say that. Because I know from personal experience that he is curt, rude, and condescending. Well, he is curt, that had a name, so I understand that part. Anyway, who wouldn't be? All right. Conversely, my BFF, okay, she didn't say BFF. Conversely, Jennifer treat me with kindness and dignity. And we had some special time together in the jail cell one night on a Friday night. Nobody knew about it. Okay. Kirk seemed determined to keep me in the dark and about all the developments in the case, offering crypt retorts in response to my questions regarding my situation, legal procedure relevant to my case, or the reason for a decision made on my behalf. His favorite response to questions I asked him to be, do you really want me to explain years of law school to you? Hey, Kirk, I don't blame you, okay? Wait, it's Kurt Nurmi, isn't it? Not Kurt Nurmi. Which one is it? Oh, wait. I don't think I really care. All right. His behavior have bred great distrust and contempt on my part. I thought she said it was contempt on his part toward her. He bred contempt on my part over the rat. It's freezing in here. I gotta close this thing. This window over here. Do you know that 1,000 cold temperature records were broken in the last couple of days in the Midwest? Okay, I lost my mind. Get off track. We're going to do a global warming thing in the future. I'm going to tell you right now. He earned $225 an hour on my case. Now she's going to say the reason Kurt and me trying to stay on her case is to get him money, some more money, right? So she say, for what attorney would not move to withdraw after 5 months that his client refused to talk to him? I thought you said it went the other way around. The answer, an attorney who has a desire to, does not want to vacate the gravy train. Jodi, did you forget that Kurt Nurmi has tried to withdraw your case many times, even though he knew months and months and years were still ahead dealing with you? I think he don't think any amount of money is enough to deal with you. That's how what a problem client you are. It is easy to see he has not moved to withdraw. Yeah, he did quite a few times. Okay, so in 2011, I fought very hard to keep Kurt Nurmi on my Regal team because I naively believed, I thought she said the relationship went bad 3.5 years ago before that, because I naively believed in his skill after the court ruled in my favor on some things that Judge Stephen lost her mind on, by the way. And even though all of Kirk's demands were met, the court's goal in mind was not. It is like night and day. I have not seen the sunshine. Jodi, I hope that you never see the sunshine ever again, unless it's maybe like from the inside of the sun, you know? Okay, so, which remind me, off topic. Anyone else disappointed about that comet of the century supposed to show up, Ison? You know, it go diving down into the sun, and as it go around the sun vaporize it. So when it come out the other side, and nothing there, you know, a couple little pebbles or something. So we were supposed to have this great, spectacular comet display all through December. Anyway, very off topic. Okay. I know, back to Jodi's whining and complaining, saying the same thing over and over, 8,872 times. By the way, I'm only reading a couple little excerpt. If you had to read this whole thing, your head would explode. Like I told you before, you'd have to wrap it in duct tape before reading this, okay? I no longer trust him, and we have not communicated in almost 5 months. And who fault is that, Jodi? Neither has Nurmi made any attempt to communicate with me. Jodi, you really put the L in the word, the capital L in the word liar, don't you? You just got done telling us you refused to see the guy, kept kind of trying to communicate with you and visit you, and now you're saying he refused. Good Lord. Okay. I lost page 13. I couldn't find it, and I didn't want to go back and waste more time reading more of her crap. So I'm sorry I don't have that page. But I think what she wanted to say to sum up was the following. I'm just going to, you know, kind of give my version of what I think she might have said in her final summary. My attorney was not empathetically contemporaneous with a contemporaneous investigation performed in a contemporaneous way, with the contemporaneous witnesses who could have contemporaneously validated my contemporaneous court case, okay? So I think that what she would have said, all right, but anyway. Jodi, contradict yourself over and over, as you can see. But here's the thing, even though I don't think she gave any good reasons that the court would consider for firing Kurt Nurmi and getting her a new attorney and wasting another $1 million on her, I did find one little thing that gave me pause, which I want to show you. I think I could drop my little thing. I get to go find it. Here we go. Let's go see this clip of the one reason that may be valid why she should dump Kurt Nurmi as her attorney. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Okay, I think finally I found a place where Jodi have good grounds to fire her attorney, Kurt Nurmi. Let's check it out together and see.
He filed a motion, and this court granted a motion saying that the witnesses to this trial were not to watch, not to watch the...
Okay, so maybe she got reasonable grounds after all right. So I want to mention that. All right, so there you have it. Finally we found ground for attorney replacement. Now, I was thinking, I would volunteer to be Jodi's replacement attorney, and I would do it for free. And I would say something like this to the judge. I would say, Judge Stephen, Jodi would like to stipulate that she spent a month planning this brutal murder, and because she was very jealous, you know, didn't get to go to Cancun and felt like used toilet paper. So she went up and did a 29 stabbing, throat-slitting gunshot to the head. She admit to all that now. She remember it all. And in the interest of justice, she wants to go ahead and accept the death penalty, and she would like to have it right away. But she wants to donate her hair first, okay? And the judge might be skeptical, but, you know, I would do my best. And so that's what I would do for her. And I think that would be her best thing anyway. Best for everyone all around. Anyway, until we come back and talk about Jodi some more and how she upset that Juan Martinez don't love her, amongst other things, Just don't go with no sociopath, okay? And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.